Welcome to episode 6.5 of Carved in Stone. I'm your host, Shawn Chabam, and being a point 0.5 episode, it means I'm going off the normal routine of carving a Mount Rushmore because I feel like talking about something else. Today, I want to talk hockey and a little bit about another sport, but particularly, I want to discuss shootouts. I really wanted to bring a guest on today, but to be 100% honest, I just didn't know who to invite. So you're stuck with me as always, and only me as usual. The reason this topic is fresh on my mind is because my Philadelphia Flyers are all of a sudden amazing at shootouts. They are 3-0 so far this year in shootouts. This has been one of the Flyers' biggest weaknesses since the inception of shootouts in the 2005-06 season. I've always said shootouts prove absolutely nothing. Now, anytime I'd say that to a non-Flyers fan, they'd just jump down my throat that I only say that because the Flyers can't find a decent goalie. Well, the Flyers are now regularly winning shootouts, and guess what? They prove absolutely nothing. Nothing. I don't know if I'd say the Flyers have their guy in net quite yet. Dan Vladar has been good, but I need to see a full season out of him, and Sam Ersson doesn't exactly light the house on fire, even if the team is winning shootouts. But they are winning them. And, Ersson is actually one of the better shootout goalies in the league. Look, nobody enjoys a tie. Ties are just icky. You don't know how you're supposed to feel at the end of them because you didn't lose, but how happy should you be when you also didn't win? The one thing I have always liked about shootouts is that they replace ties. There's always a winner. That said, the reason I say they prove nothing is because the situation they put the players in could never happen in a game. The skater gets the puck at center ice and then has an unlimited amount of time to dipsy doodle before shooting the puck. I hate that. I wish they would simulate a scenario that could actually happen in real gameplay. So I have 3 possible solutions. And yeah, I know they would never happen, okay? Just let me rant. Purists are going to hate these ideas, but just wait until I talk soccer later on. Soccer purists' heads may explode at my suggestions for that one. Option 1, and again, I know this will never happen, but I'm throwing it out there just for kicks. 2-on-1 rushes happen quite frequently in hockey. Make it a 2-on-1. 2 skaters for the shooting team get the puck at center, and 1 defenseman for the defending team starts at his team's blue line. I know this would tear through available players quickly if shootouts remained tied. Just let teams reuse guys after you go through the lineup once. Option 2, 1 skater on the goalie breakaways do happen. The difference is that when they happen in game, you have to account for the fact that a defender could be hot on your heels. So the skater gets an untimed shot, but the defending team gets a skater who starts at their own blue line to try to chase the shooter down. This will make for a much more realistic scenario. And hey, if the defender commits a penalty, then the shooter gets to go directly against the goalie, untimed. Same deal for penalties in my first option. I don't think I mentioned that. Option number 3 is the one I think it should be. And let me reiterate, I know it'll never happen. But what I think would be fair, skater versus goalie, mano-a-mano, like it is now. But there's a shot clock. 5 seconds. Not long, right? It doesn't need to be. You'd never realistically get more time than that in a game solely on the netminder. You start the shooter maybe 5 feet behind the other blue line, let him get a head start, get, some steam going, and the clock starts when he touches the puck at center. 5 seconds is completely reasonable. So that third option would be my solution to make shootouts mirror gameplay better. Currently, the absence of a shot clock, I think hurts the shooter as much as anybody. We tend to think the goalies have it so rough in shootouts, but sometimes, and this is their own fault, shooters attempt to be too methodical. These guys try to be so slick and make these fancy moves when they could just barrel down and get a shot off quickly, making the goalie react immediately. Instead, they take forever, moving in slow-mo, and a lot of times, I think it helps the goalies react. I don't think people always think like that, and I don't think people always realize that. One of my favorite things to see in a shootout, and it happens less and less, is to just watch a guy blast a slap shot and see if the goalie's glove is up to the challenge. Aside from not having ties, one thing I do like in the NHL overtime is the 3-on-3. It makes for open ice and leads to much better odds of someone scoring an OT before it gets to the shootout. And you know what? The 3-on-3 is something that historically has been a disadvantage for the Flyers because they tend to go with bulkier players, while the 3-on-3 favors speed. The Flyers actually lost their last 2 games in the 3-on-3 overtime. So I'm crediting the NHL for something that is often bad for my team. 3-on-3s at least can happen during gameplay. They don't happen a lot, but they definitely are more likely to occur than a player getting the puck at center ice and going one-on-one with the goalie without an opponent trailing him for an unlimited time. Now, I do like that in the playoffs, this all goes by the wayside, and overtime is sudden death 5-on-5. You play until someone scores. It makes things so exciting. We've had so many multi-OT games. My favorite, you probably know where I'm going with this. Flyers, Penguins. Keith Primo buries the game winner for the Flyers in the 5th overtime. Those guys played more than 2 games worth of hockey that night. Oh, one more thing I want to discuss before I get to soccer shootouts. I hate that the NHL gives teams a point for losing in overtime or a shootout. I think there's no reason you should be looking forward to a loss. After having a late goal overturned for an offsides on Wednesday night, the Flyers intentionally took the game against the Edmonton Oilers to OT in order to secure at least 1 point, and I think that sucks. Terrible rule. I understand why the Flyers did what they did, but the rule is awful. I get that it's to encourage teams to throw caution to the wind in the extra frame because they've already notched a point, but I see it as a participation trophy at a professional level. That needs changing, in my opinion. And as much as I understand the concept of a shootout to decide a winner, another sport that uses them and they freaking suck is soccer. It's mostly a guessing game. I do understand the reasoning for shootouts in that sport. Soccer games could potentially take weeks without them for games that can't end in ties. But here's where I'm going to make your freaking head spin if you're a soccer purist. If I made the rules, I would do everything I could to avoid shootouts in soccer. Now, in most leagues, regular season games end in ties, called draws in soccer, without an overtime. I'm actually fine with this. As crappy as shootouts feel, soccer is a long game. Draws will happen. Now, when you're in a situation where there's an elimination to be had and draws aren't an option, what happens depends on the league. Sometimes there's a golden goal rule, which basically means sudden death. Someone scores, it's over. Or there are 2 15-minute overtime halves, played in their entirety no matter what, followed by a shootout in the event of a tie. The golden goal usually has two 15-minute halves as well, unless somebody scores. Then it's over because it's sudden death. My solution to minimize shootouts? I say shorten the field in OT. Bring each goal up to the 18-yard line and make the goalie's area to use his hands only 6 yards. Play two 15-minute halves if necessary, but the golden goal rule is in effect, so it's over after one goal. And if that's not enough to drive you mad, make it 5-on-5. 5 players and a keeper. Hell, if you want, make the second half 3-on-3 for your league. Still tied? Then we'll go to penalty kicks. But let's move them back. Right now, the shooter lines up 12 yards away, barely giving the keeper any time to react. Push it back. Make it 15 yards. Still tough, but at least gives the keeper some chance without always having to rely on guessing that he's jumping the right way or the shooter just missing. Have you seen Happy Gilmore 2? Shawn Chabam brings you maxi soccer overtime rules and maxi hockey shootout rules. This podcast is not endorsed, sponsored by, or affiliated with the Philadelphia Flyers, the NHL, any soccer league or hockey league, or any of their properties. Player images are sourced from Wikimedia Commons under appropriate licensing. Well, I'm done. Thanks for listening to my shootout rant. I'm sure a 0.5 episode focusing on football will be here one day. There's somehow plenty of drama surrounding the first place Eagles. Actually, episode 7 of Carved in Stone is my Mount Rushmore of Eagles quarterbacks. So there is an all football episode coming next week, 9 a.m., Friday, November 21st, 2025. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. I will see you next time. Go Birds!